Let's talk a little Texas Tech recruiting. We got Ben going with Red Raider Sports. Now, Ben, we've Texas Tech has made some noise this cycle. So what's it like covering Tech recruiting in the cycle of 2026?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Josh. And it's been a very interesting cycle insofar as, and maybe it started out a little slower, but you mentioned it the last few weeks, just the commits that have landed. I think the last 4 or 5 have all been blue chippers, 4 stars, right in that mix. So it's been a lot of excitement on our website for sure. And they've really needed to close strong in 2026 after, maybe kind of a down year last year. Uh, they took the 2025 class. Yeah, they got some good kids for sure, but they really focused on the portal, as we all
Mm-hmm.
saw, in December. That was really kind of the main focus last year. And then now it's kind of back to really hitting the high school class hard with 2026. And they've done a really good job of that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Last year, the focus was on the portal. The year prior, they made some huge waves, landing the number 2 ranked wide receiver in America, Micah Hudson. But this year, I mean, if people weren't paying attention to what Texas Tech was doing 2 years ago with Hudson, they're definitely paying attention now with the addition of Felix Ojo. After all those visits to Texas, all those visits to Michigan, Texas Tech lands him. And first of all, why did Texas Tech make him such a priority?
It goes back to Joey McGuire and his whole philosophy of, big people beat up little people. And Texas Tech has really struggled in the trenches on both sides, offensive and defensive lines historically. And that was kind of one of the main things he wanted to get fixed, is really recruit both lines of scrimmage hard. And, everyone knows the name Cody Campbell by now. He's kind of leading the charge for the Matador Club and Texas Tech's NIL collective. He actually played offensive line under Coach Leach, a little over 20 years ago. So he knows how just important the offensive line is. And so it was kind of a team effort. Like I said, they've struggled on the offensive line the last 3 years since Coach McGuire has gotten to Lubbock, and they are trying to throw resources at that position to fix it. And Felix Ojo is the number 1 rated player in the state of Texas, so it doesn't get much better than that. And yeah, they were able to kind of steal him there at the last minute. It was a huge win for them for sure.
Yeah, a shocking win, but a huge one at that. So that reminds me, Micah Hudson. What happened? What did Micah Hudson do this offseason?
Yeah, I mean, headed out to College Station for a couple of weeks. I guess figured out that that wasn't exactly what he was looking for, and
Did he
uh, you know,
enroll?
at A&M, maybe for I don't know if he enrolled or not. I know he was with the team, maybe around them for a couple of weeks, but he got back to Lubbock as soon as he could. People in his camp never wanted him to leave. I don't even think he wanted to leave initially. It was just all sorts of factors that kind of played into that. And then once he realized Texas Tech was what he wanted and needed, and Texas Tech was able to kind of reconcile that relationship a little bit, they were able to make that happen. And all reports from this offseason are that, Hudson is back and he's just different, in a good way, and that he's really tearing it up in the off season, and it really has gotten back into that locker room in the good graces of everyone. And big things are still expected of him because, like you said, he was the number 2 receiver in the 2025 class. He still has all the potential in the world. And so, yeah, I mean, we'll see what it looks like moving forward, but it's good to get him back, and both sides are happy with the move, so we'll see how it works out.
All right. Okay. Stopped over there for a cup of coffee, and he is back, ready to go, like he never left. We'll see how it works out. Outside of Felix Ojo, what do you think was the biggest win for Texas Tech on the recruiting trail? Because they had a flurry of recruitment of commitments in July.
Yeah, there's a few guys I think worth mentioning, but I'm just going to go to the most recent one, and that's Chase Campbell, receiver out of Friendship High School. I think Rivals has him as the number 57 or 58
Yeah.
overall player in the class. And at different points in his recruitment, different schools were leading. Both of his parents went to Arkansas. I think Baylor was in his ear a lot, and then Kansas State also. And so it's huge whenever you can keep those West Texas kids at home, especially one as talented as Chase Campbell. Texas Tech, again, along with the offensive and defensive line, something they've struggled with is creating explosive plays. And I think Campbell is a verified track guy. He, has a ton of production at the high school level, multi-sport athlete. So he really brings all of those things, and he's going to be a weapon. He was a top target, and they were able to finish strong and keep him in West Texas.
All right, so we're getting ready for the season to start. Recruiting is going to slow down briefly, at least briefly. So what do you think Texas Tech needs to finish before signing day? What position groups are still a position of need?
Yeah, I would say they're mostly done. Maybe some senior evaluations or two. Briefly, they did offer a Miami commit last week, a Shari Charles pass rusher, which kind of, made you think if there's something going on over there. So, potentially a pass rusher, maybe another offensive lineman or two. We'll see how it works out going into the season.
All right, so what are the expectations? I mean, we've seen teams recruit really well during the summer, but if it doesn't hold through the season, so what do you think Texas Tech must do to not only maintain what they got, but also add a few key pieces down the stretch?
The expectation is to make it to Arlington in the Big 12 championship. I think anyone you talk to in that building is going to say the same thing. Texas Tech has never won the Big 12. They've never played in the Big 12 championship. And with everything that was poured into the team, with the portal class, the facilities, the new offensive and defensive coordinators, I think this is their year to kind of go do it. And I think that's the expectation. And anything less than that, they would tell you would be a disappointment.
All right, Texas Tech writer Ben Golan of Red Raider Sports, thanks for coming by and talking a little recruiting with us today.
Thanks, Josh.